If you're currently looking for a gaming monitor that not only delivers great value for its price, then stay tuned for what I have to share with you in today's video. Hi everyone, I'm Edward and this is another episode of Is It Worth Your Money series on Gamers Clinic. Today, I'm going to share with you my feedback and experience from gaming with Samsung's Odyssey G5 32-inch curved monitor for a little over 2 months. I'll first do a quick overview of its technical specifications and then share with you my feedback and preferences about this monitor. So feel free to use the timestamps to skip to any section, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already to stay updated. And let's take a sharp curve into the details. Early 2020, Samsung announced its Odyssey lineup of monitors as its next generation of gaming monitors supporting wide quad HD resolution screens with up to 240Hz of super fast refresh rates, 1 millisecond of response time, G-Sync and FreeSync compatibility, and 1000R curvature screens with support for HDR. On paper, these specs were indeed very attractive and a cause for excitement, but when the price was announced for the G7 and G9, that excitement died along with those hefty price tags. Luckily, not too long after, Samsung added a 27 and 32-inch Odyssey G5 into the product lineup, which was more wallet-friendly, so I decided to pick one up to see if the 1000R curvature really does deliver more gaming immersion. My first impressions when taking the panel out of the box was that the panel didn't feel as overly curved as many reviews are saying. But man, was I wrong. I'll explain why shortly in the feedback session. The whole monitor is made from very black durable plastic with nice engravings on the back and didn't look too plain, which is a nice touch. Setting up was quick and easy without the need of any tools, and when assembled, it feels very sturdy and looks just like the Odyssey G7 from the front. However, even though the Odyssey G5 and G7 looks almost identical, the Odyssey G5's VA panel only delivers up to 144Hz of refresh rate as opposed to 240Hz on the G7. The G5 also doesn't come with Samsung's QLED or quantum dot display technology, so it is limited to 16.7 million colors, and the maximum brightness on the G5 is also slightly lower at 250 nits. And talking about display brightness, even though the Odyssey G5 supports high dynamic range contents, it only supports the HDR10 protocol without backlight dimming, so it is not a feature to get too excited about. Though the Odyssey G5 is still very capable of delivering crystal clear and sharp images with its high static contrast ratio of 2005:1, and is G-Sync compatible for NVIDIA card owners and supports AMD FreeSync for buttery smooth gaming. On the back, there is one 3.5mm audio out port, one HDMI 2.0 port, one version 1.2 display port, one USB service port, and one power port. The power is supplied via a small external power brick that is 2.9 inches by 2.6 inches, which is not too large. And all the cables can be routed via a cable management clip that is on the rear of the monitor stand, which is also another nice feature. As for the dimensions of the monitor, it measures at 20.5 inches high by 27.9 inches wide and 10.8 inches in depth. And using the plastic stand that comes with the monitor will take up a total of 301 square inches of your table real estate. And talking about the stand that comes in the box does not have any swivel or height adjustment. It only allows for tilt adjustments of -2 degrees to +18 degrees. So it might be better to use this monitor with a monitor arm. Moving on to the settings available for the monitor, you can easily change and adjust the contrast, brightness, volume, and a few other settings via the single easy-to-use joystick underneath the screen. There is even an on-screen crosshair option for FPS gamers, which is a feature that I sometimes find useful. Pixel response times options include 4 settings to choose from, with the advertised 1 millisecond response time achieved when selecting the fastest MBR option. Now, moving on to my feedback. I'll begin by saying that for $350, the Samsung Odyssey G5 can deliver a pretty decent single-user viewing and gaming experience. It is a beautiful screen that has all the basic features a gamer would need today. At 1440p resolution with a decent 93 pixels per inch density along with a high contrast ratio, it is a perfect candidate for modern budget gaming systems. A 1660 Super or 1660 Ti can easily deliver 60 plus frames per second on the screen. The color reproduction is accurate, but not as vibrant and oversaturated as you would find on IPS panels and QLED screens, though it should be more than enough for games and general media consumption. As for the 1000R curvature, it initially didn't seem much of an issue for me, and playing games with this large 32-inch allowed me to view the on-screen SUDs easily without needing to turn my head at all, as it's just in the corner of my view. But when compared to my previous 1800R curvature 32-inch screen, I personally do not really feel any additional immersion while gaming. And even though the new 1000R curvature might not seem too much under gaming scenarios, when it comes to productivity tasks such as creating presentations for my full-time job or doing graphic designs, images do sometimes feel slightly warped toward the edges due to its extreme curvature, which is somewhat annoying. So that's something to keep in mind. And also, maybe it's just me, but I also noticed that when I talk while facing the screen, there is a more pronounced reverb than when using a 1800R screen. So you'll probably need a noise cancelling mic for all those chatty multiplayer sessions. And while we are on the topic of productivity tasks, I want to point out that this monitor only supports 8-bit color depth with 100% sRGB coverage, so if you need to work with more color range such as Adobe RGB, then this monitor might not be suitable for you. Alright, enough about productivity. This is a gamer's channel, so let me share more about its gaming performance. So, the high contrast ratio was able to deliver crisp and sharp images for most modern games I've played at 1440p while sitting at about 2 feet from the screen. But the maximum brightness of 250 nits sometimes makes it slightly difficult to see in dark scenes during the day when the sunlight is shining directly into my room. Even at maximum brightness, it is sometimes difficult to see through the glare on the screen. Although, when used in a dark room, 250 nits should be more than enough for most people, as even I had to turn down the brightness at night. And the other thing with the slightly lower peak brightness on the Odyssey G5 is that playing games with HDR enabled doesn't really show much difference than when it's off. Bright areas on the screen do get a little bit brighter, but because of the lack of local dimming, the whole image also becomes brighter, resulting in not much contrast between dark and bright areas on the screen, if that makes sense. So, being a VA panel, watching movies and playing games at night with dark scenes is a blast with the deep blacks and high contrast. And even though the viewing angles was good, due to the extreme curvature, it will be difficult to have more than 2 people watching content from this screen without the image being slightly distorted. So you can cross split screen play off from your list. The unit I got also did not have much noticeable backlight bleeding or G-Sync flickering issues, but as each panel will vary, I think it is a matter of luck, I guess. As for pixel response time on the Odyssey G5, it is not as fast as the Odyssey G7 and G9 panels, so there will be some ghosting, but only if you look very hard for it. Using the fastest setting with MBR or motion blur reduction, while playing Call of Duty, I barely noticed any obvious ghosting or input lag problems. And playing other open world games, some ghosting is sometimes noticeable when I experience frame rate dips, but the problem can be mitigated by turning on the in-game motion blur option. However, if you are a serious gamer who is looking to only play competitive shooters, then it would be better to invest in a panel with faster response times. So I think, overall, Samsung did deliver a pretty functional and budget-friendly gaming monitor with the Odyssey G5, even though it is stripped of many features that is on the flagship G7 model. My only 2 gripes with it is that the slightly low peak brightness, which made it difficult to game during the day without my shades down because half of my room is covered with windows. And the other half is this limited tilt adjustment, which requires the purchase of a separate monitor arm so I can get the ideal viewing angles, which would mean additional costs. But other than that, this 2K 144Hz VA panel can still deliver all the basic gaming features better than cheaper monitors at $350, especially if you are going for a budget gaming build and basic productivity tasks. It's not the best, but still a great monitor that offers great value for your money. Even better when you can get one on sale. Alright, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And hope you guys enjoyed today's video and find it helpful. Also, don't forget to hit that like button if you did, as it will help this channel more than you'll know it. And I'll see you again in the next video.